Hey guys, Sarah here. Today I have my friend Madeline joining me. This is actually the second time because I'm just crazy and I deleted the first video that we made. So today I just wanted to give you the chance to talk about kind of your relationship with Christ and some of the struggles you had in college. So my first question, tell me a little bit about your, I guess, spiritual growth. Maybe what trying times helped to strengthen your relationship with Christ, what led you to Him to begin with, things of that nature.
So pretty much I grew up in a Christian home and went to church, and I just didn't really feel like I was pursuing God, I think, and it was just kind of one of those things where I had just grown up in it, and that's just like what you did, and you went to church, and I didn't realize that there was kind of this disconnect until I went to college. And that's really when my faith started to become my own, and it kind of changed from just tradition to relationship, I think, was the key aspect. I didn't realize I was missing anything until I gained the relationship part, and then I looked back and I was like, wow, no wonder I didn't really want to read the Bible or any of these things. And now seeing myself post college, I see such a big change from the person who walked into college to now the person who has stepped out of college. And I just have a hunger for learning and growing, and I want to attend church because I want to know Christ more. And so it's those types of things. Now I want to read the Bible because it's you can't get enough. I didn't have the relationship aspect. So as far as things that kind of grew that, I guess it would be, I think I was just nurtured in a different environment. So coming from a background of a Presbyterian church where it's worship in a different way, and so going from that kind of more traditionalist type of scenario to going to more worship nights and things like that, that kind of cultivated this different aspect and made me think, well, why are these people worshiping in this way, and what is drawing them to do this? And I could tell that it was authentic and it was real, and it was just so different from what I was used to. And so I think really attending things like that in college really opened my eyes, and just being around awesome Christian mentor people that just really kind of inspired my faith, I think. And you look up to someone and you're just wow, they just have such peace. And it's unexplainable peace sometimes. Those types of things where you're just wow, this person has something, and I want to know what it is. And so it's being around those types of people that can answer questions and grow you, and then also just having your own experiences.
Definitely. Were there any trying moments in your young adulthood, during college, post-college, that you feel other people might be struggling with as well, that you can attest to and maybe give them some advice as to how to get through those
Sure.
times?
Yeah, so definitely college, I think, is just kind of a tough thing. I mean, you move away from your family, and you're now in this environment where you're around tons of people that are your age, and you're having to step out of your comfort zone and make new friendships. I grew up in the same small town, so I had made friends since elementary and early middle school that had just stayed with me. And so stepping out, moving to a different city, and having to kind of relearn how to make friends is always interesting. And then you kind of do find your little close, tight-knit group. But I would say one of the big struggles, aside from just having to step out of your comfort zone and do things that are a little uncomfortable, I would say that a lot of times it's tough to balance just the busy schedule. Having to go to school, a lot of students work as well. I was one of those students. So balancing work with schoolwork, and then also just attending school, and then trying to have some kind of social life as well. It's a lot, and you don't want to miss out on anything as a college student, but at the same time you feel like your head is about to explode because you're just doing, and it's just when do I have time to rest? And I think that is probably the biggest thing that I struggled with, is learning to say no to things. Not accepting every opportunity that comes to the table. I guess having wisdom about what you're choosing to accept, and being a part of things that matter, So my advice to you guys, and to myself honestly, is just to find moments where you really can rest. There's a point where you're pouring out so much and you really do need to stop and take time to have people pour into you, and to have the word pour into you, to have like quiet moments where you're just like either resting, you're taking a day. I mean, the Sabbath was designed for that purpose. I mean, we're designed to work, but then you also need to have a rest day. And I think that's also a good time for reflection too. You can take those moments of rest to, first of all, kind of find peace amongst all of the insane, crazy stuff. But also, aside from peace, you're able to kind of just like focus on, kind of what your goals are, what your aspirations are, and you can kind of take that moment to really like center your life in the direction that you're wanting to go. It also allows you to reflect on past things, future things, current things, so that way you can just really be thankful for the things that you do have. I think it's those types of situations where you really need to stop and like look back and realize how precious life is and just how beautiful like those things are and how blessed we really are. I think when we're in the midst of the chaos, sometimes it's hard to stop and feel thankful, but there's so much to be thankful for. So I think rest is definitely my advice to you. Find moments in your busyness to just step aside and rest.
Amen to that. Definitely important. So you have dealt with, a personal loss in your family. Your sister, and I know that a lot of people out there have also dealt with a loss, sometimes such a blow that it makes them question their faith. Or I know a guy who's given me this example of his friend in college. He was a proclaimed Christian and just a great guy, and then he committed suicide. And so I think a lot of people struggle with, why does this happen? How can we overcome it in our faith and still remain close to God? Just things of that sort. Kind of what's your personal experience going through that, and how can that translate to help others?
Loss, definitely, like you said, is something that all of us deal with, and if we haven't yet, then we will. That's just a part of it, and it's hard. It's never something that's easy, and I think it's just something that you can't measure. Loss is just tragic in any form that it's taken, even loss of like a dog, friend, anything. It's all painful and hard, and you're not alone. First of all of us go through things like that. With my own personal experience, I had the loss of my sister. I was 15 and she was 21, and she died of a drug overdose, actually. So that was really, really hard for our family. It really shook us. It was really unexpected. That was definitely tough. And I think there's a moment where you just kind of don't know what to do, I think. And then there's this like wave of like peace that comes over you in those times where you just, there's no reason to be at peace, and it's just, you can't point the finger at anyone else but God, and you just feel His presence. And so that for sure is something that helps during loss, is just to try to still, like, even though you're confused and you're hurting, to like reach out to that God that is always constant and loving, and it says that He's our comforter. And so those are things that really help when you're going through loss. But I would say, I guess one thing that we touched on last video
that got deleted.
Basically, I think it's easy for some of us to be angry, I think, when these things happen. We think of God as like this big omnipotent God who is able to intervene at any moment. And so, part of it is like, why is God not there? Why did God not stop this from happening? So that's kind of one of the biggest things, and I think that's where people who might be really strong in their faith can kind of turn away from God out of anger or out of confusion or doubt. And that's another big thing where people decide that they don't believe in God because they're like, this God can't be good if He's allowing these things to happen. And it's true, those things are hard. And what I've learned is that good things come from God. And God orchestrates everything, but people have free will and they make their own choices. And so in those kind of situations, like my personal situation, my sister made her own choices. And do I think that that was God's design for her life? No. But so much good has come from that situation. And God really does. He orchestrates everything, but at the same time, we do have free will, and He doesn't necessarily intervene and stop things from happening. But He is there to comfort, and He is there to work and renew and just bring about good. So that's definitely something that I've learned in those kind of situations. That's kind of something else I wanted to touch on. I recently kind of learned this whole idea of everything happening for a reason. And that's something that you grow up hearing, like, oh, everything happens for a reason, like it was God's plan, And I think that necessarily that's not always true. God does have an ultimate plan, but I definitely think that was not the way that God designed my sister to die. I mean, that's just, and there's things that happen that are just out of our control. And I think that's the thing. You can't be angry at God because God didn't do this, because God is good and God is love. God is not death. And God overcame death. And so that's something that's been comforting to me, knowing that, no, this isn't the way that necessarily things were supposed to go in God's perfect plan, but there is reward and there is glory that comes from that, and there is good that comes from that, and that is something that brings hope and peace and rejoicing, because you know that no matter what, good is coming from it. And I am the person that I am today because of those hard things that I've been through.
Yeah, one thing we had kind of talked about before was how, all good things come from God, and just because He allows bad things to happen, because we choose free will, bad things come with that. And so in our choice for free will, from the very beginning of time, we have these bad things come into our lives, but they're not sent by God. They're not, God's not like, here are all the bad things, enjoy. Sometimes He lets them happen for growth.
Perseverance.
Sometimes He lets them happen, for all of these plethora of reasons. And again, it's kind of one of those things too, we don't have all the answers. No pastor has all the answers.
Right.
Nobody's close enough to God to know why everything happens and for what reasons. Again, sometimes there are reasons that we can think of. Sometimes there are no reasons that we can think of. But like Maddie said, even the worst of moments, the worst of situations, God can use those for His glory. And it's just kind of one of those things you have to look forward to that, look to that, knowing that it's going to hopefully bear fruit. The sadness, the grief, the pain, in the end will actually create growth and beauty and, rejoicing. And God can use those moments. I've heard stories about people passing away, and in their death, it's drawn people closer to God. And so I think, He can use every bad situation. Even though some situations are just awful, they're usable by God, and you can always find that joy, always find that hope, and I think it brings you closer to God, because He does provide you with that peace and reassurance and the joy in moments that it's almost impossible to find. But He provides that, and in that you desire to be close to Him and near to Him, and to be in His Word, and to get to spend time with Him. And so in those moments, it's almost just like it reveals God's faithfulness even more.
Yes.
So just, adding to what you said.
But no, totally.
Really good. So are there any personal experiences in your life that you feel like, God was right there? I mean, there's no doubt in your mind that was, God speaking to you, or, making something work out for you, or something like that?
I remember I was really nervous to kind of come into the music department at DBU. I graduated with music business, so I definitely made it into the department, but I was really stressing. It was kind of one of those moments where you feel like you have to decide your whole life. So nerve-wracking, also so not true.
Even though she had no reason to be.
I don't know, it was just my own head, and I just thought, oh my gosh, what if I don't make it in, and then what am I going to do? I don't know, and it was just kind of one of those things. And so I remember feeling really, uneasy about that whole thing, and I had just auditioned, and I remember just, I'm pretty much, a very easygoing, just kind of whatever happens, happens. This was, a moment that I don't deal with very often, and I was, very uneasy about it, and I really was lacking peace. And I remember all of a sudden, randomly out of the blue, you texted me and you were like, hey, I was just thinking about you, and I just really felt like God put it on my heart to like let you know that like you just have to be at peace about this, because I have a really good feeling, like I know that you're gonna be okay, and just like have peace. And I was just like, oh, that's like so random. And I was just like, okay, you know, but I was still inside like, you know, thanks Sarah, but okay, I'm still freaking out. And then I had a Bible on my bed. It was like one of those teen study Bibles, and I just like opened it up because I was just like, I need something. And I opened it up like Bible roulette style, and on the page was like the big fat word shalom, which means peace. And at that instant, as soon as I read the word shalom, I felt this huge wave of peace. And it was one of those that just like gets rid of any anxiety that you have. It just completely washes it away and leaves you with nothing but peace. And I was just like, okay, God, this is you, Sarah, and then the Bible, and then the peace, like, you know. And so it was just one of those things that I couldn't explain. And I didn't have the results back yet, and I just knew, okay, it's gonna work out the way that it's supposed to. So that was a big moment. And then I'm about to go on a trip, and the way that this whole thing just fell directly into place. It was not the way that my plans were originally going, and then all of a sudden things just kind of fell through and then reopened to like perfectly work out. And I quit my job, and they found someone to replace me, and it was just all of these things that just fell into line. And it's those kind of things that I think all of us can think back and just be like, oh my gosh, there's no way coincidentally that all of this worked itself out in the perfect little pattern. It's just like, you know that God is at work, and you know that, you know, He does have plans for you. And if we are just like praying about it, and if we're really diligently seeking Him, and we want Him to guide us, He wants to guide us too. And so He's going to close certain doors, and that might seem like the end of the world, but there's like that saying, when God closes a door, He opens a window, or something like that. And so it is kind of like that, you know, things fall through, and we obviously can't plan out our whole lives, even though we try, which is just dumb. But really, I mean, He genuinely is at work, and those are definitely moments where I just felt like, okay, this makes sense. And then obviously with my sister, like peace that was unexplainable, those kind of things where you just really definitely feel God's presence in a time that doesn't make sense, I feel like.
Definitely, yeah, those experiences where it just reaffirms your
faith.
They're hard to explain
Yes.
unless you've experienced them yourself.
Yes.
But
that's like the best proof that I have when talking to people.
Right.
I'm just like, I don't really have proof for you, but I just know what I felt, and it was definitely real, you know?
Yeah. Well, we always end our videos off on talking about loving others. So, do you have any tips today for how we can go out and love our neighbors?
Yes. So I was watching a Facebook video recently, and it was kind of about basically you so easily make friends as a kid is kind of the idea, and like that we've lost this sense of making friends. And we all know what it's like to move to new places, and like you moved into a house recently, and like, you know, you have all these neighbors around you, and you know, you're always in a situation where you can go meet someone, and we kind of lose that. When you're a little kid, you go up to someone and you're like, hi, my name's this, and oh, you like yo-yos? Me too, now we're best friends. And it's like that kind of thing. And when we're older, we like get in our own heads, and we're like, oh, well, you know, we're like self-conscious, maybe they'll think that I'm weird, or like, I don't know, and it's just like, I don't know, as a little kid, you just don't think of those things. And so the video really just kind of like spoke to me, and I was like, wow, it really is so simple to go up to someone and make their day. And whether that's a lifelong friendship that you make or not, you might just be in the grocery store and someone's having a really, really tough day. And you just happen to go up to them and be like, hi, my name's Madeline, and I just wanted to come over here and say hello, and I really like the shirt that you're wearing today. I just wanted to let you know. And it's those types of things that you never know what someone's going through. We can like put on a great face, but you never know what people are going through on the inside. And so my encouragement to you guys today, in the name of loving people, is just to go up to someone today and just genuinely say hello, make a friend, and just make someone feel loved. It's those little acts that take 2 minutes out of our day And those can be life-changing moments, and you never know. Someone might be really battling depression or really going through some kind of anxiety, and your simple hello and just act of kindness can completely change their mindset or can pull them out of whatever dark place that they're in. So I would just say go out, it's not scary, and just make a friend today.
All right, well, thanks for those tips.
No problem.
Thanks for being here to talk about your story. I know some of those things, I know they're easier to talk about now than they probably were a while ago. But it means a lot. I'm sure a lot of people will be able to relate and will, feel like that made a difference in their lives. So that's the goal with these videos, to let you know that you're not alone through any of the struggles that you're going through, and that it gets better. It always gets better.
Yeah.
So, so thanks for joining us, and I'm glad we get to have you here for, a few more days. And then you're off to Florida.
Yes.
And then hopefully by next year we'll have you back.
Yes, I'll be back.
And we'll get to do another video and talk about your adventures and how God just worked through all of this.
For sure.
So, love you guys. Have a great weekend and week and whatever is next for you. Enjoy it. And love others.
Yes, love
Most
others.
important. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.